Oh, cool. No perforation.
Would you like a pocket knife?
Yes. It's beginning to look a lot like whiskey.
Please don't stab yourself.
Thank you for joining us this week, and welcome to
Bottle Bond. Welcome back to Bottle Bond. Here we are, another week. Ugh. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how you doing, Jance?
It's
been good. It's been, what, 1 week
Yeah,
since we last did this?
It's definitely been 1 week. I grew this entire beard in 1 week. That's I'm sure everybody noticed that. It was very exciting.
Yep.
2 bouts of COVID.
2 bouts of COVID.
And a partridge in a... Oh, never mind. Yeah, it's
It's
been a bit of a holiday. Right?
I don't know if we have the rights for that.
No.
Man, the holidays have been rough this year, dude. It's been a thing, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
It's been insane. But you know what? You know what it hasn't been? It hasn't been as bad as Prohibition yet. So we're going to talk today more about Prohibition. You in for it?
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Sweet. So today we're going to talk about Brown Forman. Now, Brown Forman in the modern day is one of the biggest spirits powerhouses in the world. They own Jack Daniels, right?
All right.
Jack Daniels is Brown Forman.
Okay.
And so we're going to talk about them, and we're going to talk about Prohibition, and we're going to talk about that whole thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to get started then. We're just going to go. All right.
I don't know what else we're going to do.
I don't know. It's a good point. Brown Forman, established 1870. It was established by George Garvin Brown, affectionately known in the industry as the GGB or GGB. George Garvin Brown in 1870 founded JTS Brown and Brothers, and they made Old Forester whiskey. And the thing that made them really special and almost got them a spot in our Bourbon at Beginning series is they were the first people to do it in glass bottles, like single serve glass sealed bottles. And not only that, but they did that as they were gearing it as medicinal whiskey, even before Prohibition.
Like glass as opposed to ceramic?
Yeah, so the ceramic jug, like that old classic thumb jug that you'll have seen.
Yeah.
Like a sealed glass bottle with a label. Old Forester were the first people to do that en masse, and it made it made their whiskey consistent, so that the buyer knew what they were getting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be you just walk down, with your thing, and they'd pour out a.
The world has changed. You can't go to a bar and trust that your drink doesn't have something put in it when you turn your head.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, yeah, give me something from the hose.
Yeah. Dude, for real. That's what it used to. I mean, you can still find them in some places where people will use growlers.
Yeah.
Where they'll bring their own thing and they'll get a growler worth of beer. This is similar to that. You bring your thumb jug, you go down, you get some cider, you get some whiskey, you get whatever, and then that jug gets stoppered up, and then. Yeah. I mean, it's whiskey. It's sterile.
Yeah, not going to go bad anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, back then it was, you said 1870?
1870.
So it could have been whiskey. It could have been anything else because there was no rules yet.
Yeah, it's true. There weren't. Well, at least the rules weren't much. That's for sure.
Yeah. We've talked about that in a different episode already, though.
Yep. And then we'll talk about E.H. Taylor and Bottled and Bond. We did that a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the comment I was making. Yes.
I haven't even got to the drinking yet.
Yep.
It's been, like I said, it's been the holidays.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. JTS Brown and Brothers, glass bottles, kind of pushed whiskey as a medicinal thing, some stability across them all. And then in 1901, so at this time, Old Forester isn't a distilled spirit. It's a blend. He's buying from B.F. Mattingly. He's buying from Melwood. He's buying from a bunch of other distilleries in the region.
Okay.
And he's mixing them together, and then that's what he's bottling, and that's what he's selling. So in 1901, he bought Mattingly, one of the distilleries he'd been using, and he started distilling his own juice. Very cool. GGB, distilling the juice. All right, so we're not talking just about Brown Forman today. That's not. We'll have a Brown Forman episode someday, but this is about Prohibition because that's where we're at in the history of whiskey in America. Okay, so Prohibition, January 16th, 1920, the Volstead Act. Prohibition starts.
All right.
Now, we already talked about like the bad parts of Prohibition. We talked about 90% of the distilleries in the country didn't make it through Prohibition and didn't reopen. We talked about how like it saw massive economic strain, not just in like a distillery being shut down, but in like all the community that supports the distillery, the people that work there, the
Yep.
farmers that grow the grain for it, the lumberers and coopers who make the barrels, like it was a major economic hit.
Right. Or a major economic transition of power to organized crime too. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Bootlegging came up. Speakeasies became a major thing, and then and it became a problem where people were just people were dying.
Yeah.
They're making rot gut liquor, trying to have something to drink, and they're ended up with poison.
Yeah.
And so in the end, the government gave out 6 permits. They decided that because of some massive backlash from doctors at the time, claiming of medicinal benefits of whiskey, that whiskey could still be prescribed as a medicine. So they gave out 6 permits. 6 total were given out to companies to continue to sell whiskey during Prohibition.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where we come into this. Now, there's a very important thing that I need to point out here. The Volstead Act allowed companies to sell whiskey that was made before the Volstead Act.
Okay.
Yeah, no distilling. So, what it did is it put these 6 companies in a spot where they could only sell whiskey that had already been made.
Right.
So they're selling all this whiskey. They're selling stuff that was distilled beforehand. It wasn't until 1929, fully 9 years after the start of Prohibition, that they started letting people actually distill whiskey again. And Stitzel from A.P.H. Stitzel from Stitzel Weller really took advantage of it. It's part of how they ended up coming out of Prohibition in such a beneficial spot. Because
what do you mean?
Oh, so in 1929, they allowed people to start distilling their own spirits again if they had one of those licenses. Only the 6 license holders. Well, American Medicinal Spirits was never really a distiller anyway. They always brought their stuff in. Frankfurt did some stuff, but and then the real distillery that took advantage of it was Stitzel Weller.
Because they were already a distillery, they had the expertise.
Yeah.
So the day one they could come back, they
yeah,
fully
man.
evaluate.
As soon as they were able, they could turn the stills back on and start pumping back out the juice. So while none of that juice aged enough that it probably saw the shelves during Prohibition, it put Stitzel way ahead of the curve against the other distilleries when Prohibition was repealed in 1933.
Okay.
So Prohibition goes away. They've got all this juice they can sell, and all the other distilleries are out because they've been selling it as medicine for the last 13 years.
Oh, so as in they continued to distill, they just held it back basically.
No, couldn't distill.
Okay.
They weren't making any whiskey.
Gotcha.
So it was getting sold as prescription. Some of it, not much, but some. And then when Prohibition was repealed, all of a sudden, they need whiskey now to sell to people because there's a thirst, one might say.
Yep.
And so Stitzel Weller was in a spot where, they're set, man. P.H. Stitzel's rocking. He's been making whiskey for the last 4 years because they started letting him do it again in 1929. And so, yeah. And in fact, Brown Forman we'll talk about too. Brown Forman purchased some distilleries during Prohibition because they managed to set themselves up to be doing so well.
Okay, gotcha. I think I follow. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so Prohibition comes about. It's one of the better times in America. Not they are given license number 3 of 6 licenses given out to distilleries to sell through pharmacies whiskey as medicine.
Okay. I think I'm still confused on the Stitzel part, though.
What do you
Did Stitzel get a license to sell?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. Our last episode was about Stitzel Weller.
Yeah. The thing I'm confused by is you said that they were allowed to resume distillation in 1929.
Yes.
So, is it because they were still fully in operation and they just immediately transitioned back to manufacture, whereas the other 6 permit holders were not distillery.
So
non-distillers, basically.
I see what you're asking. So
Yeah.
yes, so several of the permit holders were not distilleries,
Right.
like American Medicinal Spirits.
Right.
Others were like they'd be like blenders where they just buy from a couple places
Yeah.
and put it together. Brown Forman and PH and Stitzel Weller are going to be the two like predominant still around distilleries,
Right.
and they're the ones that really took the ability in 1929 to start distilling their own spirits again.
So that's what catapulted them, is because they were, since they were still fully functional, they basically immediately turned everything back up.
Yeah, they were able to just
That
turn
makes
it back
sense.
on.
Okay.
They just flipped the switch, started
Alright.
making it again, and between that and some of the other moves that they made towards the ends of Prohibition,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Originally, the way you said it, it sounded, I couldn't tell if they were like distilling but not able to sell it. 'Cause you said they could only sell the stuff that was made before,
yes.
but it was unclear if that meant they could now continue also distilling, but just had to like not sell that.
No.
So I was just trying to clarify that a bit. It makes more sense.
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Cool.
totally, absolutely, and clarity, of course, being the goal.
Yeah, that's part of the point.
Yeah, man. It's it's crazy. Now, I mean, George, they went on, and the next big thing they did is in 1923, 3 years into Prohibition, they bought Early Times.
Okay.
Early Times Early Times.
It just early times is hilarious. Anyway, go on.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah, it's the good stuff.
It is. I do. So okay.
Comes in a plastic jug.
By 1950, it was the most popular whiskey in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, it was the predominant whiskey in the U.S. in the 1950s. And it was owned by Brown Forman. And that's what Brown Forman does. They get these massive, like, things under there. Like, 1956, they bought Jack Daniels. They acquired it, and
Yep.
there it was.
Yep.
And I mean, honestly, that's what we love about Brown Forman, is they do some amazing things, and they do it really, really well, and they're kind of like massive little area, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's Jack Daniels, and Jack Daniels is great, but Jack Daniels is a machine unto himself.
Yeah, absolutely. But it seems like they accumulate these properties but don't really change them.
Yeah, to an extent.
Like, I haven't
yeah,
seen
for
like
sure.
it's not like they blended the branding so that there's like Early Times and Jack Daniels, or like, like a lot of companies who do things like consolidate the bottles so that they have
Yeah.
one bottle shape to make it cheaper to do in mass, or
Yeah.
change the label size so they're all the same label size, or like a lot of companies do weird things like that that seem subtle, but eventually you get to the point where you're like, this is all the same crap.
I will say that's one thing I like about Brown Forman. So we'll have a series that we'll do about representation in whiskey, and we'll talk about nearest green in that. But a couple of years ago, the Uncle Nearest whiskey hit the market. As part of that, it included all this research about Nathan Nearest Green, the guy who taught Jack Daniels how to distill. He was posthumously named the first master distiller in the U.S. and a bunch of other things, right?
Yeah.
So now when you go to the Jack Daniels distillery, Brown Forman has an exhibit on Nathan Nearest Green. It is almost expected in today's day and age that, you would deny, no one else was involved, because, there's monetary effects to being an inventor of something.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Brown Forman leaned into it so much and gave that acknowledgement where acknowledgement was due eventually, I got a lot of respect for that. And that's something I like about the company.
Yeah. I mean, it took a couple hundred years, but at least they did it, right?
Sure, yeah.
So
I like that I can learn about Nathan Nearest Green at Uncle Nearest Distillery
yeah.
or at the Jack Daniels Distillery.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I like about that.
Agreed.
Yeah. But in honor of the amazingness that is Brown Forman, and that is what we're doing here, I say we drink some Old Forester.
Okay.
Now, when all this started, Old Forester was the primary liquor that that Brown Forman was making. The JTS Brown and Brothers was making was Old Forester. So it seemed appropriate that for today, Prohibition style.
I was also hoping I'd like this a bit more. So my favorite airline that I fly all the time, they have a lounge, and their whiskey in lounge is the Old Forester, but it just tastes like regret.
Oh,
It's
no.
just like it's the simpler one, and it's just always like,
Like Old Forester.
It's like the cheaper, like base. It's their well. So it's
Okay.
like, whatever.
Because I like Old Forester 86. That's a neat pour for me.
Yeah, it always tastes like it's got a little bit of like dirt or medicine or something in it to me. It's got like an astringent sort
Like
of
an irony, coppery taste kind
yeah,
of thing?
kinda. Yeah, it's just a little rough for me. But like everybody always talks about like Old Forester as being pretty solid, and I've only ever had one or two of them before.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing if this is maybe hits me different.
Yeah, I'm hoping this one's good. I can't remember if I tried this one or a different one. They got a couple of different ones. Old Forester now has a couple. I really like. I
When
really
we were
like.
shopping for this, I think I sent you a picture of like 5 or 8 different bottles.
Oh, yeah.
That are just variations. It's not even like the normal 2 or 3 defaults they've got. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So give me the bottle read.
All right. The first bottled bourbon established 1870, Old Forester, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, which means it's at least 2 years, right?
Correct.
1920 Prohibition style. During Prohibition, Old Forester was bottled as a medicinal whiskey at 117 West Main Street under Kentucky Permit Number 3. The typical barrel proof at that time period prior to bottling was 115.
Oh, I didn't know that.
57.5% alcohol by volume, 115 proof.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Let's see. Whiskey Rose Series, 1920 Prohibition style. This whiskey is distilled by us only, and we are responsible for its richness and fine quality. Its elegant flavor is solely due to the original fineness developed with care. There is nothing better in the market, underline. George Garvin Brown, founder.
Was the market underlined?
No, there is nothing better in the market. The whole sentence is underlined.
The whole sentence?
Yeah.
Man, they really broke the budget underlining a whole sentence.
I'm going to say, though, I'm going to point this out there. Uncle Chicken Sippin' Whiskey is going to have words with them.
Yeah, Uncle Chicken does think it is the best in the world.
Yeah.
And who am I to say it's not?
Oh, cool. No perforation. Seems like a great design for people drinking.
I'm a huge fan of them. Would you like a pocket knife?
Yes.
Ding-ding.
It's beginning to look a lot like whiskey.
Please don't stab yourself.
Everywhere I pour.
This is the stuff that you don't want to break out when you're drunk.
What, singing? Or the...
No.
Oh, this? Yeah.
Yeah.
The hard to open bottle is, yeah.
Yes.
Like, I would love this when I'm deep in the cups.
Yes.
Yep.
Do I just hit it on the edge of something?
Oh, dude.
Oh, let me savor it. Let me savor it.
I thought you said savor.
Watch me savor this bottle.
Yeah. I thought you said savor. I was like,
No.
huh? Oh, no. Saber.
Savor.
I have no interest in savoring. Just none. Like, come on. Like, you really want glass in your champagne? That's what you want in life?
I mean, it's a cool trick. It's a cool party trick to pull out. Like everybody's drunk, a little bit wasted.
I guess. I mean, it is fun to be like at a party and just like chop the head off
Watch
a bottle
what I
with
can
a
do.
sword. Like, that's fun. Yeah.
Look what I can do.
If only everybody could see the actual little prancy dance that was happening for that.
Yeah, you guys don't know what you're missing. You're missing Neri dancing over here. It's amazing. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see someone ooh-woo girl before.
Ready?
Do it. Oh, that was a good one.
No soundboard involved, I swear.
I'll take a half ounce or 8.
There's always more to the bottle after.
It's true. You can always go back for a second pour, everybody. You
Yep.
can always go back for a second pour. They don't have a second liver for you.
Well, nowadays they do. 3D printers have come a long way.
Oof. Okay. Oh, that's really nice. I got cedar fever pretty bad right now, but that's cutting through pretty good. Butter.
I'll take your word for it. I still have almost no sense of smell. So,
Oh, okay.
So I'm like,
So I am gonna warn our guests, our audience, our listeners, our bonders, our bottled, whatever we're gonna call
bonded.
it.
Bonded was my vote.
I like bonded. Comment what you want to be called. All right. Yeah. Our bondage.
The bound.
The bound. That's fun. Anyway, so I could be wrong because, like I said, cedar fever, but I get a little bread on sugar melted with melted butter, like that, like dirty butter, like brown butter, and just a tad.
Pretty sure dirty butter is a different type of euphemism.
And there's something sharp in there that's. What is that?
It's the glass from the saber. Sorry.
All right. Do you
I had to
smell
make the
anything,
callback.
sir?
No, yeah, sorry.
We can. No, it's perfect.
Apples? Like a little bit of apples almost?
Yeah, that's it. That's what that tartness is. It's apples, like a Granny Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Good pick.
Getting there.
Boy, apples like hell on the palate. That was the first thing that hit me. I put it in my mouth and I was like, oh, that's a Granny Smith apple.
Whew. Less of the metallic astringent than the other one, so that's good. Mm-hmm. I hate it a lot less than the well at the lounge.
Oh, I like that. That's. Oh, it's got some heat to it.
Yeah, that was the look on my face and my like face flushed.
Yeah,
that was that is 115 proof. You are right.
Yeah, this one's got the fire breathing, right? Where like you swallow it down, it's not so bad on the palate, but then it's the finish that's just like all fire.
Yeah,
you feel like a dragon.
Yeah, you should never have to drink something twice.
Yeah, it's not bad on the palate. It's not bad at all. It's on the finish that you get the burn.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good, man. All right, what do you taste?
Yeah, just like it is that strong like appley, like it's like eating the skin of the apple, like the tart, the sort of bitterness that's in the skin a little bit.
Yeah, where you get like an overload of flavor in not necessarily a good way.
Yep.
But not necessarily a bad way either. It's surrounded by the sweetness of the internal.
Like the heat feels like a bunch of different stabbing spots on my tongue.
Yeah.
Like it's not
pleasant.
Yeah.
Oh, like it bothers you.
No, like it's okay, but like it's definitely like a little rough.
Yeah,
a little rough.
I'd say this is
a little bit pokey.
This is a little harsher than maybe some of the other whiskeys we've tried.
Yeah.
Ironically, we've tried whiskeys with much, much higher ABVs than this.
Yeah.
And they were nothing.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is. I wonder if there's just maybe additional rye in the mash bill or something.
I don't know.
But yeah, it is a little spicy. That being said, like,
I mean, I don't hate it, but it's not.
I think it reminds me of Mexican food. It's a little spicy. It's going to burn a little bit to drink it, but it's got some really great flavor poking around in there, man.
There is no discussion of a mash bill on here.
Well, would you discuss me maybe just a little bit more whiskey there?
Sure.
That's very kind of you, because I personally am a fan of whiskey. I don't know. That was supposed to be a better... Like, I was hoping to, like, really cap off the episode there, but it did not do well.
I've got you. I've capped it off.
Such a good joke. Because he capped the bottle of whiskey. Everybody.
He's like watching TV over there. He's like,
nobody
these
cares.
fucking guys.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So, Brown Forman.
Yep.
Excellent example of how to turn. Actually, an excellent example of how even when the entire country is hurting, there are still people making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If you see a recession, someone's getting rich.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that the economy is getting worse. It's just getting consolidated into like 4 or 5 bank accounts.
Yep. That is correct. All right. Well,
This episode brought to you by foreshadowing. Sorry. It's a dark turn there.
Bottle and Bond viewers, it's been a week
Yeah.
it's been a month here in the land of Bottle Bond.
Yep.
I'm going to finish this episode by saying to you,
To you, buddy.
to the bond.
To the bond.